Hi everybody, Tom here from WillSuite. We're joined by Rebekah from the University of Derby Law School this morning. We're going to be having a general discussion about software, about how the students at Derby are getting on, and based on the basis that we've provided our software WillSuite for the students, so that they can see how practitioners draft wills when they're in practice. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Not a problem. Really happy to be here.
So we've been working together for a little while now. The students have had a lot of time, I suppose, to go in and test the system, put it through its paces. How have they found it based on your feedback?
So they found it really user-friendly. They've really appreciated having access to the software, but also they felt like they've been able to engage with it, which is really positive, considering that for a lot of them, the first sort of knowledge of succession law they've had has been within the last few weeks. They've found it really easy to make use of, and what they've particularly appreciated is the fact that they have been able to see how the academic topics that I've been teaching them have been integrated into the system, so they can see, that's where capacity comes in, or that's knowledge and approval. So they've been able to really match the academic with the practical side. So they've found it really helpful.
Universities are so much more progressive than, I mean, we're talking a long time ago since I went to uni, but I studied law all those years ago, and we didn't have anything quite like this, like the partnerships that are available now. So we didn't know quite how documents were drafted in practice. It was very much a case of, I think people think it's done through precedents, and there are still lots of practitioners out there using precedents. Yeah. I'm not saying it's wrong, but they might be able to make it more efficient using software. Would you agree?
I would. I think that what we're finding with students nowadays is they are looking for more effective and efficient ways of doing the same tasks. So they've grown up with technology and they're so used to immediate responses and being able to do things very quickly. So they're constantly looking for the next fix, the next way to improve, and WillSuite really offers that to them. So even when I was at university, which I like to claim wasn't that long ago, but absolutely was now, we absolutely didn't have access to the partnerships like this, and I would never have dreamed of seeing software like this. So it's fantastic for our students to get to see the software, to use it, and to inspire them to think, oh, well, what could I do next? How could I take what I've learned with this tech solution, and maybe if I'm not interested in succession, apply it to another area that I am interested in? So it's been really inspirational and helpful for the students.
Your students are doing so much more than just understanding, sort of like, so when, again, I'm relating back to when I was at university, but we took a textbook, we had lectures and slides, and then we had to go basically go away and revise for an examination. But now we're learning or students are learning how to draft, what it means with case law, with theory, putting it into practice. What else are you doing from I suppose, a skills and employability perspective to help them get ready for the real world?
Yeah, so at the University of Derby in our law school, we've always had a real emphasis on the practical side of the law. So students have always sort of, as part of the course, got first-hand insight into negotiation skills, mediation and advocacy. But across the programme, there's so much. So within our module of the older clients, we have practitioners that have generously given up their time and recorded videos explaining how the law works in practice so they can see it firsthand. So I can say, you must satisfy this very long-winded academic test, and practitioners go, you fill out this form. So they're getting to see the firsthand. But we've got in our child protection module, there are students that are filling out paperwork that's used for the court of protection and are having a mock court of protection hearing. We've got commercial and consumer law students drafting franchise agreements. We've got all sorts of really practical things as part of the module, as well as a core module in our second year and our third year. In the second year, it was a core module called Law and Business Competence, where they had to draft a business plan and had to look at, in light of recent EU trade law changes following Brexit, had to draft a plan for a business on how best they should structure their business. And then in the third year, they are doing a module on commercial and business acumen, whereby all of the students are part of a legal entity that they have to sort of set up themselves, and they have to look at marketing, look at how they're going to set up how they're going to employ people, look at what they're looking for from a business plan perspective, and come up with some sort of legal tech solution. So lots and lots of real world skills integrated into the core modules that the students have to do.
I mean, that sounds amazing. I almost want to go back and redo my law degree based on hearing with that. Because like I said, we didn't do that, and it shows, I suppose, how universities are adapting to help the students get ready to become the lawyers of tomorrow, or the practitioners of tomorrow.
Yeah, I think so. Graduate outcomes are a really important metric for universities, but more than that, it's not just about the numbers. It is about the fact that we want to make sure that our students are as employable as possible, because they are they're so amazing kids. Shouldn't call them kids, but they're amazing. And the things in their nous and their creativity is just, it's so amazing and inspirational for us as lecturers to get to see the things that they do, the mooting competitions they're setting up, the organizations from a diversity perspective that they are setting up. They're so keen to make a difference, and we want to do absolutely everything we can to ensure that during their degree, where they sort of have the space to do so, they can gain all the skills they need to go on to get the job that they want at the end of it.
Absolutely. Do you find, so we're working with some students at the moment with you, aren't we? They're learning the basics, I suppose, of estate planning. Do you find that by year 2, the students know what they want to do when they finish university, or is it very much a case of like helping them shape their path?
So what we tend to find is students join the university with a very clear idea of what they want. They're like, I want to be a solicitor, or I want to be a barrister. And then over the course of the time, it changes. We have to move them away from criminal, which they all want to do. They all want to be the criminal lawyers of tomorrow.
I was exactly the same.
Yeah, it's the one. Well, criminal law and human rights tend to be the starting points. At Derby, we have quite a large contingent of students that are interested in family law and child protection. But an area that I think is so untapped is succession and private client, because it has all of the sides of family that the students are interested in. That it has all the interaction with the client and dealing with families and people in really upsetting circumstances. It has that side to it. But it also has the regulatory side that a lot of students really enjoy and appreciate. And it's a really wonderful area of law. So we're really grateful that because we've been able to show the practical side to it, we can sort of get students over maybe the little hump that they have about equity and not enjoying that as much, because we can show them, but this is what it's like in practice and this is what you can do with it. So I'm really optimistic that we'll have a lot more students leaving us that have a passion for this area of law.
Well, hopefully when they see the software, they'll be realizing how interesting it is. I mean, I gave a presentation to another university. I won't talk about them on our discussion, but and their students talking about roles that are out there within the profession. But I had quite a few questions about sort of like actual real life cases, and I gave a couple of examples as to what people have seen. And again, I'm not client facing, I don't see clients and write wills, but we speak to a lot of practitioners and they give us stories. So I shared a story about how there was one family, one client that they went to see, and it was mum and dad essentially, but dad had another family that mum didn't know about, and that made the estate planning so much more complex. And but you get all sorts of different circumstances and stories that do make it quite an interesting topic, and people just think you're just dealing with death and dying, and it's not the case at all. It's about
my favorite topic area when we talk about equity and trusts is secret trusts. I love secret trusts, and I love the way that the law is developed in that area for looking after your mistress's daughter without your wife knowing. I love all that area of law, but I think it's really great that the students have got to see that the real client. So we have a real focus on the client. So all the students in our module have taken dementia friends training to make sure they're aware of that. But
that's awesome.
All it takes is you to read a few of the cases on capacity, and they're heartbreaking, and it just shows to me how little awareness there is from people my age and our age, that that you need to have these difficult conversations about what it is you want to be in place later on, so you can properly prepare, so that you don't have an issue where you've lost capacity and you aren't getting what you would have wanted. So if another side of the module is, even if I can't persuade them all to be private client lawyers in the future, is to really get them to have these conversations themselves, but also with their families, to make sure that we are talking about wills and LPAs and how we can make sure that you have that dignity when you get older and get what you want.
It's great that you're doing that additional training just to support them within their studies as well. I think that's fantastic. On that basis then, so anybody who's watching the video and wants to start doing some work with the University of Derby Law School, who would you like to sort of see contact and work with? Is it any practitioners that could support and offer work experience placements? And
so we're always looking for work experience sort of placements for our students. As I'm sure everyone's aware, they're quite hard to come across, especially then COVID hit. So it's even so, and we're quite interested in working with firms to sort of come up with new ways for them to do work experience, because we recognise it's all changing and we don't know where we're going to be in a few weeks' time with COVID. So we want to make sure it helps firms come up with ways that are sustainable for them, so they're getting the best people when it comes to developing how work experience it works. We're always looking for guest speakers, people to talk about their experience of law, but also their experience of how they got there. It's really important. We're really keen on our students getting to see different journeys and different routes, and the fact that there's more than one way to get to where they want to be, because it's very easy for students to come in, to university, having been told there's only one way to achieve your career goals, and that's never the case. There's always multiple different ways to it. So we love hearing stories from people about how they've done it, so we can pass that on to the students. We also have a mentoring scheme where practitioners can sign up to be a mentor for students, and then they have one-to-one sessions with their mentee, and various things that involves. So we're always keen for practitioners to get involved.
Awesome. Well, I'm sure there'll be people that are watching this. In fact, I can think of a couple of people that I'm sure would love to get involved too. So we'll do some intros afterwards.
Yeah.
But I mean, we're delighted at WillSuite here. We're delighted to be working with you guys. We appreciate the support that you've shown us, and in turn, we're happy to provide our software to help your students become the progressive, forward-thinking lawyers of tomorrow. So yeah, I suppose that's all that I've got to ask, unless there's anything that you want to
add. No, just that I think at the University of Derby we are really thankful for the support that we've had from WillSuite. We don't underestimate what you've done for us and for our students, and we're really looking forward to working with you moving forwards. We recognise the value that this partnership brings to our students, but also to us as lecturers teaching in this area of law that's so fast-paced. So we just want to say thank you very much.
Thank you. We really appreciate it.